Good morning, good afternoon, good night. I'm Blackbright and I'm broadcasting inside the UK. I just wanted to let you know that I'm not an expert in law or anything like that. I tend to pick at news items and things that are going on and give it kind of not a critical analysis, but I question the different sides, just to kind of open it up and let's have different points of view while being respectful at all times in your comments. So today I wanted to talk about young people in particular. When should a child be treated as an adult? Should they be treated as an adult when they behave like an adult? I know when I was young, if we used to step over the line, my mother used to say to me, if you think you're too big, you can leave the house. If you can't follow my rules, you can leave. And what she was inadvertently saying was, if you feel as though you're a big woman, go and fend for yourself. Go and do what big women do. Be responsible for yourself. So when we're thinking about young people, at what point do they become an adult, and when do we treat them like adults? We have a system that's supposed to safeguard children. And by safeguarding children, you make sure that they have a healthy home, they're educated, they get access to healthcare, things like that. We don't want them to come to any harm. So when you're thinking about young people, killing young people, how do you draw the line there? How do you distinguish between the two? Is the perpetrator considered to be an adult, even though he or she is under 18 years old? Are they the ones that are going to be treated as an adult for purposes, for this ASBO? ASBO is the antisocial order that is going to be implemented. I'm not quite sure of the outcome, but I think it was last Tuesday, the 26th of February, the offensive knife bill was being considered. But what that is saying is that children 12 years and older who are in breach of the ASBO, which is a curfew, also, apart from the offensive knife weapon, is more or less suggesting that children should not be on the streets between the hours of 11 p.m. and 6 a.m. in the morning. They should also not be accessing social media. There's a lot of stipulations in there. I'm not quite sure how reasonable that is, but is that the best way to safeguard other children who could come to harm? It's a difficult one. There was a young boy, he was 12 years old in America. His name is Corey Jackson. And the police, and apparently he was accused of selling his CDs in a mall. He goes by the name of, I think, Little C or something like that. Anyway, he was accused of selling his CDs in a mall. 12 years old, Now, at that age, that is quite an adult decision to make if he was doing it. Apparently, he claims he wasn't. The police officer who apprehended him claims he was, and they wanted to take him off to the youth detention centre, age 12. There was an altercation between his aunt and himself. I'm not quite sure what the outcome was, but that in that moment, that 12-year-old child, by being apprehended by police in such a forceful way, was being treated like an adult. And where do you draw the line? Where do you say, okay, do we chastise this child, or do we let them know what the consequences are of doing what is perceived as a criminal act? Do we want to give them a lesson of what it's like to enter the criminal system? Do we want to criminalise young people? I don't think we do. What we want as the community and the public, we want our children to be safe. We want our children to be free from harm. And, I'm not quite sure when you've got children killing children and stabbing children, how that works. because how do you separate the two unless you decide that you are going to start treating children like adults when it comes to crime? Because that seems to be the way it's going. When it comes to crime, if a child is behaving like an adult, he's going to be treated like one. So whether or not he's 12 or not, if he's seen with a bladed instrument, he's going to be carted off and he's going to be doing 2 to 4 years. Is that the right way though? Or should we be trying to facilitate the children into a healthy lifestyle? I think if it's our responsibility as adults to safeguard children, to free them from harm, to improve their well-being, surely imprisonment isn't the answer. What is the answer? I guess getting to the root cause of what's happening. And instead of putting a band-aid over it, which is what the government seems to be doing, I don't think it's going to solve any issues. All it's going to do is criminalise a lot of young people. And when you think about how the criminal label has so many adverse consequences now, we have to be very, very careful. I mean, should we lower the age of the child? I mean, I got married at 18, technically. Well, 18 and under, I think it is. But, you know, in the eyes of my mother, I was a child even then. You see what I mean? And because children are evolving mentally and developmentally, does that mean the age of the child should be lowered if you're going to impose these kind of ASBO restrictions on children? I mean, should it be lowered to 15 then? Because 18 seems to me not really a child. But then it has consequences on when they leave home and benefits and all sorts. It'd be a massive, massive. It would mean that people 15, you have to be under 15 to have access to alcohol and stuff like that. So maybe that's not the answer. But I think, you know, when you're thinking about young people, we have to really think about the best way of keeping them safe. And it's quite easy to say, okay, we're going to put out an antisocial order, and the police are going to increase our police force, and they're going to stop everybody 12 who looks 12 years and older, stop and search them, and, you know, take them off. The parents don't have a say. Is that what we want? I don't think any of us want that. So if you can think of any suggestions on how children can be treated like children and children behave like children, is it about being, what's the word, selective in what they watch on the TV, selective in where they go, selective in the company they keep? Is it about that? Selective in the area that you live, selective in the schools that they go to? Is that what it's about? And then what happens is, you know, the poor, they're the ones who struggle because they can't be picky a lot of the times. So, is there anything else I wanted to say? Yeah, I think that's more or less it, really. Yeah, I think that's more or less it. I mean, you know, they do have juvenile curfews, which mean, like I said, the thing is, when you're 18, you're going to nightclubs, aren't you? And if they're saying 11 p.m. to 6 p.m., anyone under 18 can't go to a nightclub. How reasonable is that? I think there has to be another way, but I'm not sure what it is. If you can tell me, I'd appreciate it. Thank you. Bye for now.